All right. First on, as is customary in parliamentary debate, I would like to thank my partner for bearing with me this semester in debate, my opposition for providing what I'm sure will be great clash in this round, and I believe the correct Southern term is all of y'all for coming out and seeing us today. I haven't got to choose many classes during my collegiate career, but this past semester I was able to choose 4 hours worth of classes. 3 hours I dedicated towards gourmet foods, for obvious reasons, and 1 hour I spent on a class called Principles of Modern Dance. Now I went into this class with the idea that I would learn the basics of what every young man needs to know about modern dance techniques and, help me pick up chicks. And that's not quite how things turned out. It turns out that modern dance is actually a derivative form of ballet, which involves a lot of stuff I can't do, and stuff that's very challenging for me. And coming out of that first day of class, I thought, what was I thinking? How can I get out of this? I panicked. In January, the United States government panicked as well. When faced with the Keystone Pipeline project, they said, whoa guys, I'm not sure if this is what we want to do. I'm not sure if this is what we want to get into. And they vetoed the project. They said, we've got to stop the Keystone Pipeline project. But as a government team in today's debate, we're going to be arguing that that was a mistake, that we should stay with the Keystone Pipeline project. Now first I want to give you a little bit of resolutional analysis. As you can see on the screen, our resolution is resolved that the United States federal government should immediately enact legislation to approve the Keystone Pipeline. We believe this resolution is mostly clear, but for clarity, we'll define what the Keystone Pipeline project is. Right now, TransCanada runs the Keystone Pipeline from Canada into the middle of Oklahoma. What we want to put forward is an extension to the Keystone Pipeline, which will add another layer of pipeline coming down from Canada, as well as extending the original pipeline all the way down to the Gulf. Secondly, what I want to talk about under resolutional analysis is the word should. This resolution asks us what we should do, and because of that, we're going to be arguing for the government side from a position of values, of what we should do. Because of that, I will give you a value, a criterion to measure that value, and 3 contentions showing how the government side of this resolution further our objectives in reaching that value. So first off, a value. We believe that the most important value for any government to consider is national security. The reasons for this go back essentially to John Locke's social contract theory, where he held that everybody gives up certain rights in order to participate in a country, in a government, and the main reason for that is to secure certain rights. Therefore, national security is the primary responsibility of government. However, it can be a little bit hard to measure whether or not we're achieving national security. So to help measure whether or not we're moving towards our goal of national security, we'll present the criterion of economic sovereignty. We believe that a nation cannot be said to be secure if it is economically beholden to another nation, that a nation must be economically independent in order to function properly. And I'll give you now 3 contentions showing how enacting the Keystone Pipeline project will make us more economically sovereign. Our first contention is that of economic growth. Our nation will be stronger economically and hence more powerful, more sovereign if we were to enact the Keystone Pipeline project. The first reason for this is an increase in jobs. As I'm sure you all know, the unemployment rate in this country is rather high right now, and the Keystone Pipeline project is not going to fix that all on its own. However, it will create jobs for the economy, making our economy stronger, both through refinery jobs, as we have more access to oil, and secondly through construction jobs and actually constructing the pipeline down from Canada to Texas. The second reason for economic growth is a decrease in prices. We are likely to see a decrease in oil supply prices because we have a more stable access to oil through Canada as a result of the Keystone Pipeline project. These things talk about how we are going to be economically stronger through the Keystone Pipeline project, more sovereign, more secure. Our second contention is that of economic preservation. We believe that it is important the economy be valued in our policies, that having a good economy, or having a good environment will make our economy stronger in the long term. And pipelines are the safest way to transport oil. If you're going to transport oil on a truck, if you're going to transport oil overseas, the possibilities for a spill are high, and the damage is insane. Your point.
What about the safety of the workers working on these construction jobs?
We don't believe that there are any particular safety concerns with workers working on the construction jobs in creating the Keystone Pipeline. And further, we believe that the Keystone Pipeline itself has a good track record of safety. When you look at TransCanada's record over the past few years, they don't have very many spills, and pipelines inherently are also safer again than transporting oil overseas or over land. So this is something that is better for our environment because we are reducing the possibility of spills. The third and final contention I want to talk about is the idea of energy independence. This is how we're going to be ultimately the most economically sovereign because we will have more access to stable energy. And I want to look at 3 points under this. First, past precedent for the idea that energy independence is important. I wasn't alive in 1973, but in 1973, we had a problem with oil. With the 1973 Arab oil embargo, after that happened, after the OPEC nations decided they went to shut down supply towards the United States, oil prices jumped 300%. That's a lot. Imagine if the price of gas now jumped 300%. I think we can all agree that that would not be something that would be good for our nation. It would be something that would hurt our national security. Past precedent clearly shows that having steady access to oil through, for instance, Canada and the Keystone Pipeline project is something that would be very good for our national security. Secondly, I want to look at present crises that make us say, hey, we need to be more proactive about getting a steady supply of oil. And that can be summed up in the instance with Iran right now in the Strait of Hormuz. Most of the oil in the world that goes over water comes to the Strait of Hormuz, which has Iran right here threatening to close it if the United States uses any kind of force against it to try to get Iran to stop its nuclear program. This is a problem. This is a contributing factor to why gas prices are high right now. Current crises show us that we need to pay attention to having a good, steady supply of oil. Your point.
Isn't that less of a threat considering that Iran doesn't have the capabilities to actually do this? It's just an empty threat.
We don't know if they have the capabilities of doing it or not. We cannot conclusively say that they cannot close the Strait of Hormuz. It's probable that after months of fighting, we could open up the strait, but even then, that's something that's going to hurt our economy, hurt our access to oil. And finally, we want to look at future concerns, because let's face it, the United States is not the most universally liked country in the world. Recently, we saw President Obama go down to South America and reach a rather cool reception for a number of reasons. Well, South America is where we get a lot of our oil. Again, we need to look at getting a steady, secure supply of oil now to help our economy now to protect our national security in the future. So what have we looked at here? We've looked at the fact that national security is the most important thing that we can possibly value in this round, and that's best achieved through looking at criterion of economic sovereignty. Finally, through 3 points, we saw that the government side of this resolution is what leads us to better economic sovereignty through economic growth, environmental preservation, and energy independence. Yes, our government freaked out in January, much like I freaked out after learning what modern dance was really all about. But as I stated in Modern Dance, so the United States government should stay the course and immediately enact legislation to approve the Keystone Pipeline.